having sex. I mean, it's almost like these people, like with the R. Kelly, they just don't want to believe that their hero could do something this devious. I don't know how people could defend Bill Cosby.
Well, I think that's just a lot of bull. That's number one. And I don't know what black people you're talking to, because I haven't heard any black people express the idea.
Well, I'm talking on the social media sites. Social media.
I haven't heard anybody
YouTube.
express the concept that he's being framed because he's black. First of all, there's black women that have been victimized by him that are part of those 50 women. Several are black. So what are they, part of this white conspiracy to get him? They found a few token blacks in there to go after Bill Cosby. I mean, come on, give me a break. Come on, give me a break. You know, these women were victimized. There's a number of women there that are black. They're white. I have not heard that this was some conspiracy to, suppress the black man. And, there's always going to be somebody out there who's going to throw race up there, muddy the waters. But the fact of the matter is that Bill Cosby, apparently assaulted these women. He admitted it. He admitted to giving them drugs, and, he was very cavalier about it. And now it's time to face the consequences, and that's all there is to it. I'm just like when Michael Jackson, people accused him of those crimes. I was astonished that anybody would be suggesting that they were trying to get him because of some race-related issues or something like that. The guy admitted he was in bed with kids. You're right, Jordan, about something you just said. People cannot tolerate. They find it absolutely intolerable when their heroes are being brought down to earth and forced to walk among men. They find that outrageous. They want their heroes to remain gods. And in the minds of many, Bill Cosby's a god. How dare you bring our God down to earth and live amongst the proletariat?
Fat Albert. He's done a lot of good to Bill Cosby. If you just take away this rape thing, it's kind of easy to take it away.
If he could just erase all the sex crimes he committed, he'd be okay. But then again, he's one of those people I'm talking about. He fits into that 1 or 2% in which there's something dark and diabolical in their personality and in their character.
Well, I don't think people want to believe the guy in South Africa, Oscar Pistorius. I will take issue with Michael Jackson because I do know Tom Mesereau, and we went over this. There's two accusers that proved they lied under the stand. But we'll have that topic on a different day. I don't think Michael Jackson was guilty by any token. And maybe we'll even have Tom Mesereau debate you one day on that if you do want to. But in any case, we do have a caller. Let's go out to Huntington Beach. Let's welcome in one of our favorite callers. Her name is Sarah, and she is on the line. Sarah, you're on King Jordan with Alex Sanchez on a Thursday night. How are you?
I'm good. How are you, Jordan? And Mr. Alex Sanchez, how are you?
Hello, Sarah. How are you?
I'm okay.
Good evening, Sarah.
First of all, I just want to thank you so much for mentioning the Armenian genocide, because no one, hardly anyone, even knows what it's about. So I just want to thank you for that and then move on. You started the program talking about all the crimes, in the news these days, and how people are just getting crazier and crazier. And I've always been one to look at something and say, well, this is right and this is wrong, and then find the gray in the middle and ask, why would someone do this? And really, if I ask myself, all criminals have to have some little tiny crazy gene to do what they do anyway. So they all have to be kind of crazy. I know that they're not legally insane, but let's face it, there's something wrong, right? So when we find someone guilty and the judge look at what the guidelines are for punishment, probably I don't know, half or 3/4 of people in prison really should be in mental hospitals. Maybe they really, really need more help than punishment, but I understand they have to be punished for their act. And I just think it's just such a fine line between knowing what this person needs because of what they did. And I also understand that there's pure evil out there, and you can't help these people, and that you just must punish them. Which leads me to the little boy, which is heartbreaking that an 11-year-old would have the wherewithal of if the facts are correct, that he went and got a gun and he pointed it and he shot this little 8-year-old girl over a puppy or a kitten, I can't remember which. Anyone that hears this has to be shocked. I mean, I hope we don't get immune to something like this. But this little boy needs help besides being in juvenile detention for 8 or 9 years or whatever. He truly, truly needs help. And so one question is, do they get that kind of help at all in where he's going? And the other question I have is regarding Eric Garner. I am one of the people that I was horrified watching the video, and I watched it many times because I really wanted to get it straight. Was I really, really watching this? Now, and I know the grand jury is secret and everything, but one question I have is, if the chokehold is considered illegal or you're not allowed to do it, then why wouldn't that automatically have some sort of consequence? I just don't understand that. And then what else was I going to talk about? Because I don't want to take up all your time. I'm sorry.
No,
hope I can remember all those issues you brought up, Sarah.
Okay, and then the other thing is, I just want everybody to know it's really, really a very sad day that in the last 24 hours, 5 police officers have been killed in the line of duty. 5 in 24 hours across our country. And
wow.
And also,
that's horrible.
It saddens me and breaks my heart that in 2016 that the racial divide is getting bigger and bigger and bigger. And I honestly, I don't know what the answer is. I really, really don't. But it's just very sad for me. And Josh Duggar, well, I agree that woman probably should be charged with filing false reports and all that stuff. But really and truly, he is like so on the bottom of my list of what's important. Let me see if I'm leaving anything out. I don't think so. I'm trying to read my own notes here. Oh, and the officer that was found guilty of manslaughter, Officer Liang.
Yes.
Okay, I know this is going to sound really like a dumb question, but so they're in a dark stairwell, and he's got his gun. What, do they not have flashlights? Do they not walk in prepared into a dark stairwell?
Anyway,
that just shocked
Sarah,
me.
You brought up a lot of good points, and I wanted to, just in terms of, I think the most significant point you brought up was at the beginning of your statement, that a lot of people in the criminal justice system have mental health problems. I can't tell you how many times I've been in court, and I just casually say to my colleagues, this is a mental hospital we're in right now. That's what we're doing. We're in a mental hospital dealing with people with serious psychiatric disorders. It's not a criminal justice system. And you're right, a lot of people in the criminal justice system have all kinds of psychiatric disorders. But, the criminal justice system really does not adequately make any or barely any attempt to address that. It's not like, you could just refer people to all kinds of counseling agencies and, psychiatrists and treatment facilities. They don't exist in many places. And the reason is simple. It costs money. You got to, it costs a lot of money to have psychiatrists and social workers on call and people coming to the home to check to see how things are going in the home. And so it ultimately boils down to money. And
well, and
a lot of
please note
people,
that please note that I really am not talking about the convicted murderers who are in for life, because they're in for life and I don't really care. But the people that are going to get out in 10 years, 15 years, those are the ones that I think they really need help too.
Well, they do need help, but but there are not. If anything, there's a lot of money that's being cut out of programs at local prisons. They used to have a lot more programs, for example, in New York State, to help people address their needs once they're released from prison. But of course, there's all kinds of efforts to save money, and what better way to save money than to cut out programs? Why give programs to criminals? And a lot of people are in league with that. A lot of people who are paying taxes, like, hey, why should I give money to criminals taking college classes and programs? That's preposterous, So a lot of people are against that. And you're right, regarding that 11-year-old kid who shot the person, you want to see this kid get help. It's a very troubling case. Some people just would like to see this kid thrown in a juvenile facility and just forget about him. But ultimately, that's not good for him. It's not good for the kid. It's not good for society. He is getting out. If you don't treat him now, he'll just get out and commit another crime later. So action needs to be taken. And finally, on your last point that you brought up, you're right. A lot of people are completely unaware of the Armenian genocide. And it was in 1915 that Armenia, which is located in the Turkish area down there was some dispute between the Turks and the Armenians, and the Turks essentially decided to go and exterminate the Armenians. And as incredible as it may sound, they killed up to 2 million Armenians, and they were vicious about it. We're talking about beheadings, murdering kids. Some of it's on film. And you hear about the extermination of the Jews during World War II. You hear about the Cambodian extermination. You don't hear much about the Armenian extermination for some reason. And I think that needs to be known. Yeah, needs to be known, and the Armenians who are victims and their families need to be know that this is an issue that's important. But anyway, that's a side issue from the current criminal enterprises that we're talking about.
Okay, well, thank you so much for answering my questions, and it's always a pleasure, Jordan, and it's a pleasure, Alex. And
all right, Sarah, good talking to you.
You take care, both of you, okay? Thank you.
Sarah,
Bye-bye.
you're really one intelligent caller. Let me tell you, I appreciate when you call in every week. I'm being very serious.
Well, thank you.
You know your facts before you call, and I do appreciate having you as a listener. So I just want to let you know that. So,
well, thank you, and I very, very much appreciate your show. I really do.
Thank you. Have a good weekend, Sarah.
Nighty-night.
Okay. Mary Wainwright couldn't call in, but she did leave a question. So let me read it. Hey, Jordan, if you get time, ask Alex Sanchez this. Regarding Eric Garner, was the officer involved, why was the officer not involved, not charged by either a prosecutor or even went before a grand jury? Chokeholds are illegal in New York because they are deemed potentially lethal to be used only when police officers fear for their life. Gardner was surrounded by several officers. There was no actual fear for the life of an officer who performed the hold. What gives, she wants to know.
By the way, I think some clarification needs to be made regarding the chokehold situation. It's against police policy for officers to use chokeholds. And because a couple of years ago it was determined that some police were using chokeholds and people were getting seriously injured or they choked to death, so the police department themselves said, listen, among police officers, it's our policy, you're not allowed to use chokeholds. But it's not a criminal offense to use a chokehold, right? If you have justification for it. That's just a police department rule. So if an officer uses a chokehold, maybe he can get fired from his job, but it's not like there's a separate criminal offense that if a police officer uses a chokehold, that's per se a crime. Now, it could be a crime